Hello YouTube, Infinite Magicraid community, Gandalf here. Alright, Sun Wukong Showcase. So, broke the wallet a little bit more, got him to exclusive 3, leaving off, from where we were with summons yesterday. So as promised, Showcase, got him built last night. Not exactly the best gear setup. Ideally, you do want to use a tough set to get it you want to be using a tough set. Like that's the most optimal setup because you do want high resistance on him as well. You don't want him to be CC'd. You want him to be tanky, so the extra health, tenacity, effective res all benefit to his kit. So the best setup will be using a tough set. But as you can see, it's kind of getting hogged between Henge and Panda right now, and a little bit on Nordax. So not going to move it around. We're putting together, we're just going to hit some of the stats requirements for him. So stats wise, you can use, crit damage set, slay set with good subs. Even, if you have really good HP, if you're starting out and something like this piece will be fine with crit rate, HP, crit damage will be good on him. It's all about stat priority. So overall, what you want to prioritize on is these 3 things, but I would say all you need is 70%. So going over 70 will be a waste due to its passive. Then crit damage caps out at 350 in terms of fully benefiting from the echo. And I would, if you are over 350 on the crit damage part, I highly recommend moving more of that into HP. Moreover, it's the HP rolls, HP percentage subs are bigger percentage rolls than your crit damage rolls. So from a min-maxing perspective, aim for high HP roll percentages, which I don't have too many of. Like usually try to hit for 3 if you can. That'll be a really good setup for your um, Wukong. Then let's take a look at emblem. Basically, I would recommend either the defense tree plus the attack tree or the support versus attack. Here I've opted for crit damage. If you go for defense tree, I would say, going rugged tenacity also works. Um, at this point, I don't see him needing too much speed. The benefit of this support tree is you can get the HP enhancement, the shield enhancement, or critical. He's going to get the extra speed from just buffing everyone at the start. Being able to cycle his cooldowns is important. He does give very valuable attribute buffs. So as a support, I recommend this over the defense versus attack build. But it's viable. You definitely want the attack ones. In a PvE setting, he does do a lot of damage. So go down. If you need the extra crit rate, you can grab it here. Attack doesn't help as much. Then just go for direct damage build. Um, the standard picks. Okay, with the builds out of the way, let's show our blessings. I have lousy blessings, um, but you want crit damage on these ones, you want HP on these ones, and you can go for effective res, or for me, I ran out of them. I'm going with free resistance. All right, so you can also do damage resistance if you want. I mean, he does kind of get focused when he has high, um, what's the term again? Stance value. When he has high stance value, he has um, non-lowers are a certain percentage chance. There's 100 chance for him to be the main target. So if the opponent's making single target attacks to you, he is the one that's going to be targeted. Okay, let's do 2 quick demo. One, I want to show stage 30 because I was struggling with 29, 30 simply because I didn't have the speed or speed to pull it off on the boss. Like I'll get to the boss, I get one shot. Having a massive shield up front makes this so much easier. So we'll quickly just watch through one quick wave run of this with a little bit of commentary. And you can see up front, right? These shields are really big. And the other part about this shield is really nice is um, for heroes like Moshi that takes multiple turns, you really won't be left without a shield. Oh my, that's getting a little bit close. um, is Moshi will actually burn off the regular shields, but with his shield, you're fine because you with his shields, you still keep 75% of it after you take 2 turns. It just auto apply itself when it runs out if there's still remaining shield. So that's really cool. So here you can see Moshi going crazy, but you can see the Moshi shield hasn't really fallen off of her. With the normal shield from other heroes, um, Wukong shield is really good from that perspective. It protects heroes that like to take multiple turns. So things like, so if you're starting out, right, and you have a Wukong, and like this, I think like this is the weekend. If you do the event, you still can get them. So if you're starting out with a Wukong, and you grab something like Makin, Makin is notorious for taking double turns and getting himself killed because he doesn't have a shield on him, which forces your shielders forces Makin to be the fastest person on your team and then having your shield to go after. You don't have that problem with Wukong anymore because Wukong's shield doesn't really fall off from your heroes taking multiple turns. A good portion of it still remains. There we go. So Indra completely destroyed the boss. But what you notice is Wukong took a lot of turns, right? So from a direct damage perspective, Wukong will be doing a lot of bruising. Okay. Putting things in perspective, I'll do a quick uh, show for him on Wuthering Coast battle test. Um, from a direct damage perspective, what I have done is I have replaced Wukong with took out Nordak, put in Wukong, and you can see Wukong does a ton of damage because the way that he interacts and he's out DPSing Agatha and out DPSing Hela. And you can see my Wukong isn't really that optimized yet, right? Like he still has a lot of room to go from an HP perspective. So I'll just run that one more time and maybe I'll pause the screen a little bit longer so you can just see, relatively speaking, he is doing even more damage than Agatha from this Bruiser build. Um, we'll do it under the Heavy Fist buff as well to see if that makes a difference because a lot of the damage comes from basic attack. But really, Agatha and Henle also would be doing a lot of basic attacks as well. So in this case, I think Agatha is probably winning out due to the nature of this particular buff. Okay, so that's on the Wuthering Coast in terms of where he fits into the team. Let's look at what happens when we go 300 turns. So one thing I noticed with him when I was, testing in PvP is he's good on defense, and yes, but the turns do take really long, right? That's the thing. If you want to go for the kill, up early, yeah, that's fine. I think the power from him is more that that law, that special exclusive to him that allows him to last um, multiple turns. Sorry, allow your team to basically have 2 turns where you pretty much can't be killed by a Nita AoE or something unless they have a crazy Nita. Um, or you won't be killed by heavy crits, right? But here you can see how hard he's actually hitting now on this particular team. Maybe this wasn't a fair opponent. Let's just go down the list and see what happens. And take a note of how much damage he's doing versus um, versus Henle. So having the Henle strip up front really helpful, but usually the problem with Lydia is you keep on passing the buff to the other team. So originally I had Panda on the team and I found that was actually a little bit more problem. So that's why building up high enough resistance on like your Nordak, Santa, having your entire team on tough set with the exception of Lydia, it is super helpful. But you see, you're kind of having the benefit on this team. Like as we theorize, right? This is like literally the most disgusting team you could kind of run, um, especially when your entire team has high immunity to damage. We'll see in a bit, like who's really doing all of the damage. Um, But eventually, right, with Lydia is you do lose 40% of your effective res, which is a big risk issue when you don't have Panda on your team. Is you start to get into these situations where you're frozen for long duration, which is definitely not good. His cleanse is very important to keep that shield on and it cleanses off. So yeah, it's all right, but if you don't run a Panda, you are vulnerable to a deep freeze situation. So like Jingle Bell, um, E3 into a Santa potentially could cause you a little bit of a problem. But you can see we're 70 turns. Like the offensive strength of this team, I think defensively, yeah, you're gonna ignore the hell of your opponent because you're literally unkillable. But on offense side, like you're gonna be spending a lot of time. I don't even know, like against a tougher opponent with more stats, even if they don't have Wukong, can we do enough damage to clear it within 300 turns? Like you can see the damage numbers aren't that high, right? Against this particular opponent. It's really Hen that's actually doing the bigger damage, not Wukong here. And in a PvE setting, Wukong isn't going to go, sorry, in a PvP setting, Wukong isn't going to go crazy with all of the joint attack like you saw in the PvE setting, where literally Wukong will take a turn whenever your ally is taking a turn, every single time. Okay, so that took a while. But let's take a look at the damage difference. I think most of the damage came from Hen and you can see really Nordak, Lydia, and Wukong is about doing the same amount of damage here. Okay, just to put things into perspective. Um, let's go pick on someone. Let's see what happens when we kind of have to eat a nuke in the face. Let's see. I hope his team. No, that's not a good example. Who has Anita? Okay, well, I mean, let's give this a try. Maybe their Nita will go, and we'll have to find. I know Klee, Lord Eric, and others are on the server, so we'll also show what happens. Is what is what is Wukong gonna do when you're faced up against Kraken stats when you're not a Kraken? So just so you get the perspective, right? Like you're the average player, you're like, okay, I want to invest now. And is Wukong gonna really change my game, allow me to start competing against Kraken? The hypothesis is no, it's not gonna change a thing. We'll see that shortly when we do a refresh, and hopefully we see some big player names on my list here. But even this, right? Like you can see this problem with a team setup like this is you're not really doing enough damage here. You're really hoping for your Henle to charge up fully to start really laying down the damage. Okay, let's go find someone uh, really with high stats. Um, okay, so this daddy here probably will last longer. So let's see someone with more stats than me. What will happen in this setup? Feel like we need to find a way to go like 10 times speed or something, because this is going to take a while. Oh my God. So you can see that's not going to save you, right? Your Lydia, first of all, fell off because I think, the moment you lose your law protection there, you are kind of screwed. Let's maybe focus on, you know what, yeah, I don't know. Like losing Lydia usually is not that big of a deal because you saw Lydia, the value of Lydia really there is about the particular with it's more of the passive there, right? For the damage reduction. And for there you go. Okay. So I don't think we need to go find Klee here. Daddy is enough to show that from a stat difference perspective, um, you would not, okay, you would not, the value of E3 Wukong is only to survive the initial burst. Okay, um, it's not going to help you um, in a draw out battle. You know, draw out battle. Um, I don't know. Like in a draw out battle, maybe my Wukong isn't built well enough. Let me know in the comments below. But I think that kind of shows the drawback in this fight a little bit. Let's just do this one more time, and we're gonna take Nordak out for Santa. Oh, sorry, for Panda, and just so that we don't get frozen, right? But you know, let's run that one more time. I'll take one more loss. Pretty sure I'm gonna lose on this, but just to show you, right? Like in terms of the the thing here is you're still gonna be faced with the exact same problems. Let's see if we can try to focus down the Donald this time. Should we be focusing on the Henghe? Like, let me know in the comments below, right? Like in my mind, once the law starts falling off, which is kind of like that two-turn buff, is you really maybe we should have killed the Lydia first. But like Henghe just protects a lot, and the setup doesn't have enough damage. So that's why what I see right now is a lot of people running Jingle Bell as the DPS option there. Oh my goodness, this is looking really bad. Oh, I also see the issue because I think it's also because of the Donald, right? Because I'm not actually stealing his buffs and he's stealing my buffs. That's the main problem with this setup right now. Um, so that's something you need to be careful about. Come on. Okay, we lost somebody. That's not good. Uh, oh, Henle's almost dead. We should have focused on Henle there. Uh, yeah. So the key is, you know, if you're trying to stop this team, right, make sure their Lydia can't get the defensive aspect off. Because without the Lydia piece, and you have a Lydia on your side, you know, it's not as broken as you think. Okay. Um, so let's kind of summarize and wrap up this video and talk about, you know, what each of the exclusives are for, so you know where is the investment level really at. E1 is where you kind of really need it for the PvE aspect of things. Okay, this allows him to just be used in PvE as a bruiser to take additional turns. So that's what exclusive 1 allow you to do. Exclusive 2 allow you to get extra shield and cleanse. In the grand scheme of things, in a PvE setting, cleanse isn't that important. And in PvP, having that shield up front isn't really going to save your butt against a big nuke. Because what you're losing out is you're either not going to have Panda or you're not going to have Santa, or so just having the shield is not enough to, I mean, they'll just burst you through normally. The value of exclusive 3 is it helps you survive the initial turn 1 burst. So really you can't cleave. You can't cleave a defense team like this. What you need is pretty much another slow team of a similar nature, uh, in a way that it targets the weakness of the setup. So for example, if they don't have a Panda, you can try to perma-freeze the team. Um, I'll do a showcase on that probably later. Um, Another way of beating the Wukong team is if they don't, I mean, if they don't have Panda, you can go for the you can try to target the weakness uh, where there isn't a way to cleanse, so you go for the defreeze. If they're running a Lydia on that team, Lydia most likely will be the highest attack one. So bring the Donald will be really helpful. Using Donald to prevent Lydia from using the skill 3, and so then they don't have the defensive damage reduction, nor can they steal your buffs. So that will make you win the draw out tanky fight. So Donald is definitely a good counter to the lineup because you have to get rid of that. The Donald will deal with the Lydia problem on that team setup. So I think that gives you a general sense of how to crack away at the Wukong teams. It's not impossible to beat. Now, I know a few people, they have gotten this setup. Let me see with a refresh if we can find an example of one. Yeah, so we see this high-end team quite a bit. It's sort of like a double whammy. So with the meta change, as I explained the other day, is we're going to see people experimenting with the super tanky one. So you see Proth with the tanky setup here. You see Kiana with Jingle Bell mixed in there. Jingle Bell plus Lydia opening is a very, very, very hard-hitting opening. So basically Wukong can be thought of as you're really seeing these hybrid team like heavy damage with medium tankiness because Wukong is going to be able to help you survive any sort of upcoming burst turn one, but then you get to take the initiative from there, which makes this a very very challenging setup to deal with. So I do think I think one thing that I theorized about how Wukong is going to make the meta boring, I guess I'm wrong about that. The more I use him and test him in actual PvP situations, I like the fact he brought a lot of good flavor to the meta. Um, Exclusive 3 isn't as broken as you think. It just means you can't like one turn or two turn cleave everything with a Nita comp anymore, which I think brings a little bit more flavor to the table. So there you guys have it. Here's my full showcase and commentary. Hopefully this is really helpful for you in your decision making on the summons this week. For me, let's talk about the pain, right? You guys saw it. You guys saw it up to yesterday. So Ether Wukong, Indra Zora Wukong, Indra Zora Wukong. That was a lot of summons, and I don't want to talk about it. So I'll catch you next time. Gandalf out.